The chamber floated in space like a massive glass sphere, reflecting the light of distant stars. Inside, representatives from 847 different species gathered in a circle that seemed to stretch forever. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had bodies. Others were pure energy contained in special suits. They all came together for one reason: to decide the fate of humanity. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the center, her dark blue uniform pressed perfectly, her hands clasped behind her back. She had given her speech 3 hours ago, defending Earth and its colonies. She had shown them human art, human music, human achievements in science and medicine. She had pleaded for understanding, for time, for a chance to prove that humans could be peaceful members of the galactic community. Now she waited for the vote. The speaker, a creature that looked like a floating crystal with 1,000 facets, announced the results in a voice that echoed through translation devices. The council has decided. 689 species vote for quarantine. 158 vote against. The measure passes. Chen felt her stomach drop. Around her, the chamber erupted in sounds. Clicks, whistles, electronic tones. Some were celebrating. Others were silent. She caught the eye of Ambassador Thelnix from the Korthan Empire, one of the few who had voted against the measure. The four-armed diplomat looked away, his silver skin darkening with what Chen had learned was shame. The speaker continued. Earth and all human colonies will be enclosed within a barrier. This barrier will remain in place for 10,000 years. During this time, humanity will have the opportunity to evolve beyond their aggressive tendencies. This is not punishment. This is protection for you and for the galaxy, Chen wanted to scream. Protection? They were being imprisoned in their own solar system. 10,000 years, civilizations rose and fell in less time. By the time the barrier came down, would there even be humans left to remember why they had been locked away? This is wrong, she said quietly, but her voice carried through the chamber. You fear us because we are different, because we ask questions, because we do not simply accept the way things have always been. You are dangerous, replied the Galaxy representative, a being made of what looked like living smoke. In only 50 years you have caused more disruption than species twice your age. You challenge our traditions. You spread your culture like a virus. You must be contained. Chen returned to her small observation room, a space barely larger than a closet where she could watch the council proceedings in private. Her hands shook as she activated her personal datapad. She had 3 hours before the transport ship would take her back to Earth. 3 hours before the barrier technology would be moved into position. A message appeared on her screen. The sender was marked as anonymous, but the encryption key was one she recognized, Thelnix. She opened it carefully. Inside was a file. A historical file. Chen began to read, and with each line her blood ran colder. The Venkari civilization, quarantined 8,000 years ago for cultural contamination. Their star system had gone dark after 6,000 years. When the barrier finally came down, there was nothing left but frozen rocks and the skeletal remains of cities, the Prax Collective. Quarantined 12,000 years ago for dangerous technological advancement. Their sun had burned out early, drained of energy. The Prax were extinct, 4 more species. 6 in total, all quarantined, all dead. Chen dug deeper into the data, her training as a former intelligence officer taking over. The pattern was clear once you knew to look for it. The barriers did not just contain. They fed on the star's energy, slowly draining it over millennia. The quarantine was not protection. It was a slow, clean method of genocide, and there was more. Hidden in ancient council records were discussions, debates. The elder species, the ones who had been in space for millions of years, saw younger species as threats. They had built their civilizations, established their rules, created their perfect order. New species brought chaos, change, unpredictability. Better to eliminate them early before they could challenge the established order. Humanity had been judged and sentenced not for what they had done, but for what they might become. Chen's mind raced. She had to warn Earth, she had to tell them what was coming. But communications were monitored. The council would never let her send a message revealing their secret. She thought of her daughter back on Earth. Maya was 15 years old, smart and curious, always asking questions about the stars. What future would she have trapped behind a barrier, watching the sun slowly dim over centuries? Chen made her decision. She recorded a brief video message, just 2 words. and attached the entire historical file. Then she used an old smuggler's trick she had learned years ago, hiding data inside a routine systems check, a message that would look like nothing more than technical noise to anyone monitoring it. The transport ship carried her back toward Earth. She sat in her cabin, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the barrier generators were being assembled, massive ancient machines, precursor technology that the Council controlled but did not fully understand. They would be positioned in a sphere around Earth's solar system, and once activated, nothing would get in or out. Chen closed her eyes and whispered a prayer to ancestors she had never been religious enough to honor before. She prayed that her message would reach the right people. She prayed that Earth would understand. She prayed that humanity would not wait to be victims. When she opened her eyes, she looked at her reflection in the window. Behind her face, stars streaked by as the ship jumped through faster than light space. She thought of her final words to the Council, words that had seemed like empty defiance at the time. "You do not know what you have done," she had said. "Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not accept cages. You may come to regret this vote." At the time, it had been hope speaking. Now, with the hidden file burning in her mind, it was a promise. The message reached Earth 36 hours later. 2 words appeared on the screens of the Joint Defense Command, delivered through channels that should not have existed, decoded by algorithms that were not supposed to be active. "Strike first." And with those words, everything changed. Admiral Kojo Mensa stood in the command center buried 3 kilometers beneath the ice of Pluto. The walls were bare metal, cold and functional. Screens covered every surface, showing data streams, ship positions, and countdown timers. Around him, officers from a dozen nations worked in silent coordination. They had trained for this moment for years, hoping it would never come. Now it was here. "Status report," Mensa said, his deep voice calm despite the weight of what they were about to do. "Ghost Fleet is at 98% readiness," replied Commander Park, a small woman with sharp eyes who managed the logistics. 2 ships still coming online. The Defiant had a reactor issue, but they fixed it. The Shanghai is loading the last of their kinetic rounds. Time until barrier activation? 70 hours, 14 minutes, Mensa nodded. 70 hours. 3 days. That was all the time they had to hit 50 different targets across a dozen star systems, destroy the barrier generators before they activated, and send a message to the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into extinction. The plan had a name: Operation Ghost Protocol. It had been conceived 50 years ago, shortly after humanity's first contact with alien life. Back then there had been optimism, hope that humanity would be welcomed into a grand cosmic community. But there had also been caution. Military planners had asked a simple question: what if they turn on us? And so in secret, humanity had prepared. Every precursor artifact that humanity encountered was studied, reverse-engineered, and copied. Ancient devices found in dead worlds, technology bought from alien traders, even relics stolen from archaeological sites. The galaxy thought humans were clumsy newcomers, fumbling with technology they barely understood. They were wrong. Humanity had a gift. They could look at something and understand not just what it did, but how it worked, why it worked, and how to make it better. In 50 years, human scientists had cracked secrets that some species had failed to solve in centuries. The Ghost Fleet was the result. 200 warships, each one built in hidden facilities scattered across the solar system. They did not look like the sleek vessels of the Council species. They were ugly practical things, all angles and armor, bristling with weapons that the galaxy had forgotten how to use. Kinetic weapons, missiles, nuclear warheads. Simple, brutal tools of war that did not rely on precursor technology. The Council had grown comfortable with energy shields and plasma weapons, elegant tools for elegant warfare. They had forgotten that a chunk of metal moving at 70% the speed of light did not care about shields. It just hit, and everything in its path ceased to exist. "Admiral, we have confirmation from all fleet captains," said Lieutenant Zhang from the communication station. "They are awaiting your order." Mensa looked at the main screen. It showed a map of local space with glowing dots representing every ship in the Ghost Fleet. Hidden for years, they were now emerging from their concealment, from hollowed-out asteroids, from beneath the ice moons of Jupiter, from camouflage stations in the Kuiper Belt. He thought about his son, who was 17 and wanted to be a pilot. He thought about his wife, who taught history and had always said that the worst wars were the ones fought for survival. He thought about the 3 billion people on Earth who did not know that in 70 hours, a barrier would seal them in, slowly draining their sun until the solar system became a tomb. "Open a channel to all ships," Mensa said. "Channel open, sir." Mensa took a breath. "This is Admiral Mensa to all Ghost Fleet vessels. 50 years ago, when we first reached the stars, we hoped for peace. We hoped to find friends among the stars, to learn and grow together. Today we learned that hope was not enough. The galaxy has voted to imprison us, to condemn our children and grandchildren to a slow death. They believe we will accept this fate. They are wrong." He paused, looking at the faces of his command crew, young and old from every corner of Earth, united in purpose. "In 70 hours, barrier generators will activate around our solar system. Our mission is to destroy those generators before they come online. We will strike fast, strike hard, and strike without warning. The galaxy calls us dangerous. They call us aggressive. They call us unpredictable. Today we will prove them right. Today we choose survival. Today we choose freedom. All ships execute Operation Ghost Protocol. Launch." The command center erupted in controlled chaos. Officers relayed orders, coordinated jump calculations, synchronized attack timings. On the screens, the dots representing the Ghost Fleet began to move. The ships used a new type of faster-than-light drive, something human engineers had pieced together from 3 different precursor technologies. It was experimental, barely tested, and completely invisible to standard detection systems. Where Council ships left a bright wake in space-time when they jumped, human ships slipped through like ghosts. The galaxy would not see them coming. Mensa walked to a secondary screen showing the target list. 50 barrier generator stations, each one a massive construct the size of a small moon. They were ancient precursor technology, controlled by the Council but not fully understood even by them. Humanity had studied them carefully over the years, mapping their weaknesses, identifying critical systems. "First wave reports successful jump," Park announced. "They are 30 minutes from target zone Alpha." "Second wave launching now," added Zhang. Mensa watched the choreography of war unfold. It was beautiful in a terrible way, this dance of ships and timing and precision. Everything had to go perfectly. If even one barrier generator activated, it could seal off part of the solar system, trap human colonies, leave millions to die. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Earth," Zhang said. "It is Ambassador Chen. She is asking to speak with you." "Put her through." Chen's face appeared on a screen. She looked exhausted, her eyes red from crying or lack of sleep or both. Behind her, Mensa could see the interior of a military transport. "Admiral, I heard that Ghost Protocol is active," she said. "I need to know, did you receive the historical data I sent?" "We did, Ambassador. It confirmed what our intelligence suspected. The quarantine is not temporary. It is execution." Chen closed her eyes. "I broke every diplomatic protocol to get you that information. The Council will call it treason. The Council declared war on humanity when they voted for our extinction," Mensa replied. "You gave us the truth. What we do with it is not your burden to carry. Those barrier generators, some of them are in populated systems. Civilian populations, I know. We will avoid civilian casualties where possible. But Ambassador, if we fail, there will be no humans left to regret collateral damage. I will not apologize for choosing our survival." Chen nodded slowly. "I understand. I just hope that when this is over, we are still the people we believe ourselves to be." The transmission ended. Mensa stood in silence for a moment, feeling the weight of command, the burden of making decisions that would shape the future of an entire species. "First wave entering target zone," Park announced. "Weapons hot. Engaging in 3, 2, 1. On the screens, the first barrier generator disappeared in a flash of light as kinetic projectiles struck it at relativistic speeds. The ancient structure, which had stood for millennia, was torn apart in seconds. "Target Alpha destroyed," confirmed a voice from the fleet. Proceeding to secondary objectives. All across the command center, similar reports came in. "Target Beta destroyed. Target Gamma destroyed. Target Delta destroyed." The galaxy had voted for humanity's end. Humanity had cast a different vote. The war had begun. The Galactic Council defense station above Concordia had stood for 6,000 years. It was a monument to peace, a symbolic guardian with weapons that had not been fired in anger for millennia. The crew of 300 aliens from a dozen species performed their duties with the calm of those who never expected actual combat. That calm shattered when 16 human missiles struck the station from 6 different angles simultaneously. Commander Sarah Okonkwo watched from the bridge of the assault ship, vengeful spirit, as the station's shields flickered and died. The weapons were simple: chemical rockets with nuclear warheads, ancient technology that the Council had long ago dismissed as primitive. But primitive did not mean ineffective. The warheads detonated, and the station broke apart like a toy. "Defensive fire is neutralized," reported her tactical officer. "Landing teams are go." "Launch," Sarah ordered. 20 small craft dropped from the vengeful spirit, racing toward Concordia's surface. Sarah was in the lead ship, along with 30 Marines in powered armor. Their target was not military. It was the Great Archive, the repository of galactic history stretching back 10,000 years. The galaxy had secrets. Sarah intended to steal them. The landing was rough. Concordia's defense systems were scrambling, trying to respond to an attack they never thought would come. Anti-aircraft fire lit up the sky, but it was disorganized, panicked. The human ships dodged and weaved, their pilots trained for combat in ways that the galaxy had forgotten. Sarah's craft hit the ground hard, the impact cushions absorbing most of the shock. The rear ramp dropped, and her team poured out into a plaza in front of a massive building that looked like a cathedral made of crystal. "Defensive positions," she ordered. "Tech team, you have 15 minutes. The specialist ran forward, carrying equipment designed to hack into precursor computer systems. Around them, the Marines formed a perimeter. In the distance, Sarah could hear sirens wailing and see local security forces beginning to mobilize. She checked her tactical display. Across the galaxy, similar attacks were happening. Human ships were striking Council military assets with precision and speed. Fleet bases, communication hubs, command centers, all of them were being hit simultaneously. The galaxy had not seen real war in 10,000 years. They had grown soft, comfortable. Their fleets were for show, their weapons maintained but rarely tested. They had regulations, protocols, treaties governing how warfare should be conducted to minimize casualties and preserve infrastructure. Humanity had no such illusions. War was not elegant. War was not fair. War was about winning. "Ma'am, we are encountering resistance," called one of her Marines. "Local security forces are advancing from the east." Sarah moved to his position and looked through her rifle's scope. She saw a line of alien security personnel, their armor bright and ceremonial, advancing with energy weapons that glowed with soft blue light. "Warning shots only," she ordered. "We are not here to kill civilians." The Marines fired, their railguns sending hypersonic rounds that cracked the pavement in front of the security forces. The aliens stopped, confused. In their long careers, none of them had ever been shot at. They retreated, calling for backup that would take time to arrive. "Tech team status," Sarah said into her comm. "We are in, Commander," replied Lieutenant Kim, the lead specialist. "The archive systems are built on precursor architecture, but we cracked the encryption. Downloading now. This is going to take all 15 minutes. Sarah nodded. Around her, the team held the perimeter. In the sky above, human fighters engaged Concordia's defense aircraft. The alien pilots were skilled, but their ships were designed for patrol and escort, not dogfighting. They fell like burning stars. Sarah's earpiece crackled with reports from across the fleet. Ghost 7 reporting. "Target Epsilon destroyed. No casualties. Ghost 12. Target Zeta destroyed. Encountered light resistance. 2 wounded, none critical. Ghost 3. Target Theta. Target Theta shields were stronger than expected. We took heavy fire. The Moscow is damaged but operational. Target destroyed on second pass." Then a different kind of report came through. "All Ghost units, this is Fleet Command. We are receiving transmissions from non-Council species. Multiple colonies on the Outer Rim are expressing support for human action. The Korthan Empire has pledged neutrality and is denying Council access to their space. The Urian Confederation is requesting to join our offensive." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. They were not alone. The galaxy was not united against humanity. It was fractured, divided between the old powers who controlled the Council and the younger species who resented that control. "Commander, download complete," Kim announced. "We have everything. 10,000 years of records." Pull back to the ship, Sarah ordered. The team moved in disciplined formation, covering each other as they retreated to their landing craft. The Concordian security forces had rallied and were advancing again, but they moved cautiously, afraid of the deadly precision of human weapons. Sarah was the last one on the transport. As the ramp closed, she took one last look at the Great Archive. Inside those crystal walls were the records of 6 civilizations that had been quarantined and quietly murdered. Evidence of the Council's greatest crime. Soon, everyone would know. The flight back to the Vengeful Spirit took only minutes. Once aboard, Sarah rushed to the intelligence center where analysts were already tearing through the downloaded data. "What have we got?" she asked. Captain Reeves, the senior intelligence officer, looked up from his screen. His face was pale. "It is worse than we thought, Commander. The Venkari, the Prax, 4 others, all quarantined species. But there are more. We found records of 17 species that were deemed potential threats. 6 were quarantined. The other 11 were handled differently." "What does that mean?" "Plagues, economic collapse, arranged wars. The Council did not just quarantine dangerous species. They actively eliminated them through covert means. Humanity is number 18 on the list." Sarah felt rage building in her chest. For 10,000 years, the Council had presented itself as a force for peace, a guardian of civilization. In reality, they were killers, maintaining their power by destroying anyone who might challenge them. "Get this data to Fleet Command," she said, "and prepare a public broadcast. Every species in the galaxy needs to see this." 6 hours later, the truth went viral across galactic networks. Human hackers working from hidden servers bypassed every firewall and security system to broadcast the evidence. Every screen, every communication device, every public display in Council space suddenly showed the same message. The Galactic Council had been lying for 10,000 years. The reaction was immediate. On Council worlds, protests erupted. On rim colonies, younger species began to mobilize their own fleets. The carefully maintained peace was fracturing, and in Council chambers, the elder species watched their perfect order collapse and realized they had made a terrible mistake. They had not just attacked humanity. They had awakened the galaxy's conscience. Admiral Mensa received the reports with grim satisfaction. The Ghost Fleet had completed its primary objectives. All 50 barrier generators were destroyed. Earth was safe for now, but the Council would retaliate. They had to. If they allowed humanity to strike without consequence, their authority would be finished. "All ships," Mensa ordered. "Regroup at Rally Point Omega. Resupply, repair damage, and prepare for Phase 2. They know we are out here now. The element of surprise is gone. From here on, it is a straight fight." He looked at the star map, seeing the vast expanse of the galaxy. Humanity had won the first battle. But the war was just beginning. Somewhere in Council space, ancient warships that had not flown in millennia were being awakened. The elder species were preparing to show humanity what it meant to fight civilizations millions of years old. And humanity, stubborn and defiant, was ready to show them that age meant nothing compared to the will to survive. The colony of New Nairobi orbited a yellow sun 200 light-years from Earth. 3 billion people called it home. Farmers, engineers, artists, children playing in parks under an orange sky. It was humanity's most successful colony, a world where African culture had blossomed among the stars. The Calaxy entropy bomb destroyed it in 7 seconds. Admiral Mensa watched the recordings from the sensor, platforms that had been monitoring the system. One moment, New Nairobi was there, a blue and green jewel spinning peacefully. The next moment, it was not. The bomb did not explode in the traditional sense. It simply aged everything in a radius of 10 million kilometers. The planet experienced 10 billion years in an instant. Mountains eroded to dust. Oceans boiled away. The sun's light could not reach the surface fast enough to stop the decay. By the time the weapon's effect faded, New Nairobi was a dead gray rock, frozen and lifeless. 3 billion people, gone. Not killed, simply erased from time itself. "This is a war crime," whispered Commander Park, her voice breaking. This is war," Mensa said, though his own hands shook. "The kind the galaxy forgot how to fight. But we remember, and we will make them remember why they should have left us alone." The Council's counteroffensive had begun with terrible fury. The elder species, those who had existed for millions of years, brought forth weapons that humanity barely understood. They had matter disruptors that unmade the atomic bonds holding ships together. They had quantum weapons that existed and did not exist simultaneously, striking from multiple dimensions at once. They had biological agents that rewrote genetic code, turning human crews into something else entirely. The Ghost Fleet took horrific casualties. Of the 200 ships that had started the war, 63 were destroyed in the first week of the Council's response. Thousands of crew members died, some instantly, others in ways too horrible to describe in official reports. The indomitable Admiral Mensa's flagship was crippled when a Zellian phase disruptor tore through its portside hull. The ship survived only because Lieutenant Commander Jackson manually sealed the breach, sacrificing himself to save 800 crew members. Mensa had to abandon the damaged vessel and transfer his command to the Dauntless. Earth itself came under attack. Orbital defense platforms that had never been tested in real combat suddenly had to face enemy fire. Captain Amanda Torres commanded the defense grid from her station above the Atlantic Ocean, coordinating fire from 60 platforms as Council ships attempted to penetrate Earth's defenses. Incoming hostiles. Bearing 270, her tactical officer called out. Count as 12 ships frigate class. Target priority Alpha through Lima, Torres ordered. Railgun batteries fire on my mark. The platform shuddered as its main guns fired. Solid metal slugs accelerated to impossible speeds streaked through space. 3 Council ships exploded immediately. The others scattered, their formation breaking. But more ships kept coming. The Council had committed a full battle fleet to Earth, determined to break humanity's spirit by destroying their homeworld. In the bunkers beneath major cities, billions of people waited in the dark, listening to the sounds of battle above them. Parents held their children. The elderly prayed. The young tried to be brave. On the lunar base, General Okafor watched the battle through satellite feeds. He commanded the reserve forces, ships held back specifically to defend Earth. He wanted to send them up immediately, but Mensa's orders were clear. Wait for the right moment. General, the orbital platforms are taking heavy fire, his aide reported. Platform 17 is destroyed. Platform 9 is at 40% power. Okafor gritted his teeth. Not yet, wait for them to commit. Wait for them to bunch up as they press the attack. Platform 3 is gone. Platform 24 is evacuating crew. Wait, General, they are breaking through the defensive perimeter. Now, Okafor said. All reserve ships launch. Flank formation Delta. Hit them from behind. 30 ships erupted from hidden bases on the Moon and Mars, catching the Council fleet from an unexpected angle. The enemy had been so focused on breaking through Earth's orbital defenses that they did not see the trap until it closed around them. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, Earth was still free, but the cost was terrible. 9 orbital platforms destroyed, 14 defense ships lost, 70,000 military personnel dead, but humanity held. Earth survived. In the ruins of Platform 9, rescue crews searched for survivors. They found Commander Jackson's body still holding the manual door controls that had sealed the breach. His hands were burned down to the bone, but he had not let go. They gave him a hero's funeral, broadcast across human space, a reminder of what sacrifice meant. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Dr. Elena Vasquez led a team of physicists studying the wreckage of New Nairobi from a safe distance. The entropy weapon had left behind strange readings, energy signatures that did not match standard physics. This does not make sense, she said, staring at her screens. The weapon worked by accelerating time locally, but the energy required should have been astronomical. Instead, I am seeing efficiency levels that are impossible unless... She stopped, her eyes widening. Unless what? Asked her assistant. Unless precursor technology has built-in vulnerabilities. Look at this frequency pattern. It is not random. It is a code, a mathematical sequence. The precursors built their technology with backdoors. She ran the data through every analysis tool available, working for 36 hours straight without sleep. When she emerged from her lab, she went straight to Admiral Mensa. I know how to win the war, she said. Mensa looked at the exhausted scientist. Explain. Every piece of precursor technology in the galaxy, weapons, shields, faster-than-light drives, power systems, all of it runs on the same underlying architecture. The precursors were not just builders. They were control freaks. They built kill switches into everything they created. Why would they do that? I do not know. Fear, maybe. A way to shut down their creations if something went wrong. But the point is, those kill switches are still there, hidden in the base code. If we can crack the master frequency, we could shut down every precursor artifact in the galaxy simultaneously. Mensa felt his pulse quicken. That would cripple the Council. Most of their technology is precursor-based. It would cripple us too, Vasquez warned. Our faster-than-light drives, our best weapons, they all use precursor tech. If we do this, we go back to slower ships, conventional weapons, but it would level the playing field. And it might be our only chance, Mensa said. The Council has millions of years of accumulated weapons and knowledge. We have been in space for less than a century. In a straight fight, they will eventually overwhelm us through sheer attrition, but if we can take away their technological advantage, we have a chance, Vasquez finished. Mensa made his decision. How long do you need to crack the code? With the right computing power and the data we stole from Concordia? Maybe 3 weeks. Maybe 3 months. I cannot be sure. You have whatever resources you need. Personnel, equipment, raw computing power, take it all. This is now humanity's top priority. Dr. Vasquez assembled a team of the best minds from across human space. Mathematicians, physicists, computer scientists, even linguists who might be able to decode the mathematical language the precursors had used. They worked around the clock, fueled by stimulants and desperation. Meanwhile, the war continued. The Ghost Fleet raided Council supply lines. Human guerrillas sabotaged installations on Council-occupied worlds. The younger species who had joined humanity's cause fought their own battles against the elder species. The galaxy was tearing itself apart, and at the center of it all was humanity, stubborn, desperate, and refusing to die. In her lab, Dr. Vasquez stared at screens filled with equations and code. Somewhere in this data was the key to everything, the master frequency that would shut down the precursor's legacy. She just had to find it before humanity ran out of time. The galactic core was a place of madness. 10,000 stars crowded into a space that should have held dozens. Their gravity wells twisting space itself into knots. Radiation storms raged between the stars. Black holes lurked like predators in the dark. No sane species ventured here. Humanity was not feeling particularly sane. Admiral Mensa commanded a strike force of 30 ships, all that remained of the Ghost Fleet's original 200. They limped through the core, shields at maximum, dodging stellar debris and gravity anomalies. Every alarm on every ship was screaming warnings. Ambassador Chen stood beside Mensa on the bridge of the Dauntless. She wore a military pressure suit now instead of her diplomatic uniform. War had changed her, hardened her. She had watched New Nairobi die. She had seen the casualty lists grow longer every day. Peace was no longer something she hoped for. It was something she would take by force if necessary. Commander Sarah Okonkwo was there too, having transferred from her assault ship to join the final mission. Around them, the bridge crew worked in tense silence. "We are approaching the coordinates," reported the navigation officer. "Whatever is out there, we will know in 5 minutes." The architects. The oldest species in the galaxy, so ancient they had been old when the dinosaurs walked Earth. They had built the precursor network, seeded life across countless worlds, and then retreated into virtual reality to watch their creation evolve. The Council served as their agents, managing the galaxy according to their design, until humanity broke the rules. "Dr. Vasquez, are you ready?" Mensa asked. In the ship's computer core, Dr. Vasquez made final adjustments to her work. 43 days of research had led to this moment. She had found the master code, the kill switch that would shut down every precursor artifact in the galaxy. "Ready, Admiral," she said, though her voice betrayed her fear. "Once I activate this, there is no going back. All precursor technology will fail permanently. Faster-than-light travel, energy shields, quantum weapons, all of it gone. The galaxy will have to rebuild from scratch." "Do it," Mensa ordered. "But wait for my signal." The ships emerged from a cloud of ionized gas and found themselves facing something impossible. A construct the size of a solar system floated in the void. Thousands of structures connected by bridges of solid light. At the center was a sphere that pulsed with energy that made human instruments malfunction, just looking at it. "We are being scanned," the sensor officer said. "Multiple sources, technologies I cannot identify." "Hail them," Chen said. "Let us finish this with words if we can." A communication channel opened, but not through any human technology. The message simply appeared in everyone's mind simultaneously. Words without sound. Humans, You have disrupted the order. Explain. Chen stepped forward. Though it was meaningless, they were speaking to beings who existed beyond physical space. I am Ambassador Chen Wei of Earth. We are here because you judged us unworthy to exist among the stars. Because you sentenced our species to extinction through a false quarantine, we refuse to accept that judgment. The quarantine was necessary. Your species is aggressive, unpredictable, dangerous to stability. Stability? Mensa said. You call it stability when you quietly murder species that do not fit your vision? We found the records. 6 civilizations quarantined and dead. 11 others eliminated through covert means. Is that your vision of peace? Silence. The architect's construct pulsed with strange lights. The galaxy required management. Young species bring chaos. We prevented greater suffering. By causing suffering yourselves, Sarah said, you became the very thing you claimed to oppose. You do not understand. We have watched civilizations rise and fall for 1,000,000 years. We know the patterns. Aggressive species inevitably destroy themselves or others. We acted to preserve life. Then you failed, Chen said, because the galaxy you created is stagnant. The council species hide behind your technology, afraid to innovate, afraid to change. They have forgotten how to dream, how to risk, how to truly live. You did not create paradise. You created a prison. The lights in the construct began to change, colors shifting from blue to red. You dare to judge us? Yes, Mensa said simply. Just as you judged us. The difference is we give you a choice. Dr. Vasquez, in the computer core, Elena's fingers hovered over the activation key. Signal received, Admiral. Architects, Mensa said, you built the precursor network to help young species grow. Instead, it became a cage. The Council uses your technology to maintain control to prevent change, so we are going to take it away. In 30 seconds, Dr. Vasquez will activate a code that will shut down every precursor artifact in the galaxy. Your great works will go dark. The galaxy will have to rebuild without ancient crutches. You can stop us, you have the power. But if you do, you prove that your order is maintained only through force, that you are no better than the Council you created. You would destroy everything we built? No, Chen said. We would free the galaxy from your control. Let species develop their own technology, their own culture, their own destiny, without shortcuts, without you. The silence stretched. Seconds ticked by. The construct's lights flickered through impossible colors. Then something extraordinary happened. The architect's presence changed, became less hostile, almost amused. Interesting. In 1,000,000 years, only twice before has a species challenged us so directly. The first time we destroyed them. The second time we imprisoned them. But you are different. You do not challenge us from ambition. You challenge us from principle. We challenge you because you left us no choice, Mensa said. Precisely. The Council failed. They were meant to guide, not control. They were meant to step aside when species matured, not hold them back forever. They forgot their purpose. The construct's lights began to dim. The precursor network was always meant to be temporary, training wheels for young civilizations, but the Council grew comfortable. They feared change more than stagnation. They failed the test. What test? Chen asked. The test all species must pass. To choose growth over comfort. To choose freedom over security. To risk everything rather than accept a gilded cage. Humanity, despite your flaws, your violence, your aggression, or perhaps because of them, you passed. You refused to surrender. You refused to accept an unjust peace. The sphere at the center of the construct began to collapse inward, folding through dimensions that hurt to look at. We are leaving. Our time in this galaxy is finished. The precursor network will remain active for 1 solar cycle, long enough for species to transition to their own technologies. Then it will deactivate permanently. The galaxy is yours now. All of you. Do better than we did. Wait, Sarah said. Where are you going? Beyond. There are other galaxies, other species to seed. Perhaps elsewhere we will succeed where here we failed. Or perhaps we will learn that creation inevitably leads to control. Either way, it is no longer your concern. The construct began to fade, dissolving into light and energy. One final gift. The truth. The Council knows it was planned. The vote, the quarantine, the barrier. We arranged it all. Humanity was our final test for the galaxy. You passed. The council failed. Use that knowledge wisely. Then the architects were gone, leaving the human fleet alone in the core. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Mensa let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. Stand down, Dr. Vasquez. Keep the code safe, but we will not need it today. The journey back to Earth took weeks. The Ghost Fleet returned to a solar system that had survived the war but was deeply scarred by it. New Nairobi's memorial filled an entire moon. 3 billion names carved in stone. The Galactic Council dissolved within days of the architect's departure. The elder species, realizing their authority was gone, retreated to their home worlds. Some promised revenge. Others simply fell silent. In their place, something new began to form. A federation built on equality rather than hierarchy. Humanity took a leading role. Not because they demanded it, but because younger species looked to them as proof that defiance could succeed. 5 years later, Ambassador Chen stood before the memorial to New Nairobi. She was older now, her hair showing gray. Behind her, Earth's sunset painted the sky in orange and gold. Her daughter Maya stood beside her, now 20 years old and studying to be a pilot. Do you think we did the right thing? Maya asked. Chen thought about the 3 billion names behind her. She thought about the thousands who died in battle. She thought about the moment she sent the message that started everything. I think we did the only thing we could do, she said. The council gave us a choice, accept extinction quietly or fight for survival. We fought, and yes, people died. But if we had not fought, everyone would have died eventually. The galaxy still hates us, Maya said. Some species call us murderers, warmongers. Some do, Chen agreed. Others call us liberators. The truth is probably somewhere in between. We are what we always were, flawed, stubborn, dangerous, but also brave, creative, and unwilling to surrender our freedom. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, species were building new technologies without relying on precursor gifts. Trade routes were opening. New alliances were forming. The galaxy was messy, chaotic, unpredictable. It was alive. The architect said we passed a test, Maya said. Do you think that means we are done? That we proved ourselves? Chen smiled sadly. No, I think it means we proved we can survive. Whether we deserve to survive, that test never ends. Every generation has to pass it again. Admiral Mensa joined them, walking slowly with a cane now. War had aged him too. The new Federation Council is meeting next week, he said. They want humanity to help draft the charter. Rights, responsibilities, rules of engagement. Ironically, we get to write the laws because we were willing to break them. Will we do better than the council? Chen asked. I do not know, Mensa admitted. Power corrupts even when earned honestly. In 100 years, maybe some other species will be looking at humanity the way we looked at the council. Maybe they will need to rebel against us. Then we had better build something worth rebelling against, Sarah said, approaching from behind. She was a full commander now, in charge of training the Federation's new military. Something that can be challenged and improved, not something that crushes dissent. They stood together in silence, watching the sunset. 3 people who had started a war to prevent extinction, who had gambled an entire species on their choice to fight. In the end, they won, but the victory was not clean. It was not simple. It came with a cost that would be paid for generations. The memorial behind them held the names of those who paid first. The future would demand more payment. Every choice, every conflict, every step forward came with a price. But humanity would pay it. They always had. From the moment their ancestors looked up at the stars and decided to reach for them, humans had been paying the price of ambition, of freedom, of refusing to accept limits. The stars offered no guarantees, no promises, only opportunity, and humanity, as always, reached upward.